Please rise for the invocation by Father Matt Mello of Our Lady of Hope Catholic Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Father Matt got stuck in a seat.
God is love, and the desire to make us share in his love, God sent his Son into the world to come to our aid in gentle kindness and to help those who are weak, sick, or unfortunate. In his great love for all of us, God said that whatever we do to the least among us, we do for him. He called us to show mercy, the blessed of the Father, and promised them eternal life. Let us pray for the Lord's richest blessing on the members of this city council who are devoted to helping their brothers and sisters. And let us pray. Blessed are you, Lord God of mercy, who through your Son gave us a marvelous example of charity and the great commandment to love one another. Send down your blessings upon these your servants, who so generously devote themselves to helping others. When they are called on in times of need, let them faithfully serve you in their neighbor. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Baptist?
Here.
Councilman Stillman?
Here.
Vice Mayor Foley?
Here.
Mayor Burnett?
Here. We have a quorum of 4. We start with recognitions and proclamations. And is Vonda Morris here? There she is.
Hiya, good evening.
Hello, I'm going to come down there in just a second.
Okay.
But I'm also going to ask the Volusia County School Board representative for District 2 who is here also to come up.
Yes.
And introduce yourself. Tell us who you are on the microphone. No, you.
Oh. Well, she is the one here that we're celebrating.
Oh, I know. Well, I need to know who you are too, so it's on the record.
Okay. I am Anita Burnett, School Board District Representative for District 2.
And Vonda, you are?
And hello, my name is Vonda Morris, and I am the 2024 Volusia County Teacher of the Year.
Outstanding. From Spruce Creek High School.
Oh yes, from Spruce Creek High School, where every day is a great day to be a hawk.
There you go.
It is our honor and privilege, and it has been the tradition of this council the last few years to honor the individual recipients at all 10 of our public schools in the city with proclamations, and you'll be getting one as well. But tonight we wanted to honor you specifically because in recent memory, I can't remember a Port Orange school having the overall Teacher of the Year, and what an honor.
Thank you.
What an
Yes,
absolute honor. The things that you get to do, other than just teaching math, of course, the things that you get to do to influence the kids and help us build community beyond just simple education. You have the gratitude of this council, so I'm going to come down there and read this to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
First of all, it is fitting and proper that we do this because the teachers in our community are held in high esteem. And if anybody disagrees with me, we're going to have words. They should be held in high esteem because of the hard work that they do, the things that they do out of their heart, dedication. There are a lot of people that do their jobs simply for a paycheck. A good teacher doesn't do it for a paycheck. They know what they're doing for the kids. They know what they're doing for our community and moving those things forward. So in recognition of your achievement, the City of Port Orange would like to recognize and thank you for your service to the community. Congratulations on earning the district's Teacher of the Year, Vonda Morrison. With my signature, the seal of the city, it is so declared. Our appreciation.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike, wants to get a picture.
you so much. I
This-
just want to throw out there, if you haven't seen her video, it's probably on the Volusia County School website. You should go watch her video. She's all energy.
Oh, we're watching
Well, you
that.
have to be for the students.
It's
You
all,
have
it's
to
all
be.
love and energy.
Yes.
Well, if you want to say a few words, now's the time.
Okay, Mike
I'm
fool me.
actually-
No, she got some stuff prepared. That's good.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. To Mayor Burnett, Vice Mayor Foley, to Councilman Bastian and Stiltner, and the others, I didn't see anyone else on the website, but to Mr. Jones, Attorney Jones, and let's see who I'm missing.
City manager.
And City Manager Mr. Clark, good evening, and to the residents of Port Orange. I would like to thank the Public Information Officer, Mr. Michael Springer, and the Port Orange City Council for inviting me to the session tonight. I have been a part of Port Orange for 19 years. For 2 years, I lived on Trailwood Drive, drove to New Smyrna Beach High, and observed the beauty of the sun rising as I traveled US 1. For the last 17 years, I have been a faculty member at Spruce Creek High School, where every day is a great day to be a Hawk. I have taught AP, IB, grade level, and remedial level math classes. Daily, I see students go from hating math to tolerating math. Do you have fun in math class, you may ask? I am glad you asked that. And the answer is yes. We laugh and learn. We dance and learn. We sing and learn. And did I mention we learn? My students can communicate math when asked the right questions. This week we are learning the difference between biased and non-biased data collection methods. Random doesn't mean haphazard, nor is it vice versa. I love the students' definition better than my own. Random, they said, is not knowing the outcome ahead of time, but it is based on chance. And it's like drawing names from a hat, tossing a coin, or using an RNG, what we call a random numbers generator, which is their calculator. So learning math is fun, but we need more stick-to-itness with teachers with high expectations for our students. Teachers who respect students will, in turn, receive respect. Teachers who dole out fair and consistent consequences and rewards all students. Every individual is not designed to teach. However, those with a passion for students, who possess the pizzazz to engage the students by making the quirkiest strategies look good and have the patience of Job, are prime candidates to teach our young people for the next generation. So I ask for your prayers for our students, our administrators, parents, faculty, and staff, and pray my strength as I move on for State Teacher of the Year candidacy, as I instruct more than 175 students a day, and as I work to complete my doctorate. So thank you for today. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Just want to let you know, our District 2 council seat is open.
I love it.
One thing a teacher does is communicate. And you got it nailed.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks,
And thank you, Mrs. Burnett. I'll see you at home later. Fire Department recognition, Chief Meeske. The person in question, Mr. Greg Bastian, would you join us? And Drew, since that's your brother, you put your coat back on, your suit that you wore specifically to for him. You join me down there?
All right. It's Wayne's jacket, so this is what we're getting.
Joe, tell us why Mr. Bastian is back after all these years. We finally got him out and retired after serving us for all
Retired,
these
yeah.
years. Now he's back again.
Retired in the true fashion of the every time I try to get out, they drag me back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're here to recognize Greg Bashan. I just want to, before I start, say if I had more teachers like her,
No kidding.
my SAT scores would have been way better.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
I
Way
was
better.
going to say, math teachers have changed since I graduated from Creek in 1983.
True.
I was thinking Chief Meeske better bring it following her.
Yeah, right?
Well,
I'm expecting something now.
maybe Greg needs to bring
Yeah,
it.
right?
So anyway, Greg retired with us as a lieutenant, one of the people I looked up to my whole career here, and taught me how to be good at my job and a lot of things not to do, I guess, as well, right, Greg? So we learned a lot from Greg over the years, and we're here today to recognize Greg because on Christmas morning, Greg and his wife were driving out of their neighborhood to deliver Christmas presents when he noticed a fire on the exterior of a neighbor's home. The fire was extending into the home, and it was early enough in the morning that the residents might not be awake. So Greg, in true retired firefighter fashion, immediately directed his wife to call 911 while he ran to alert the residents of the fire. Once the residents were safely evacuated from the home, Greg began using a garden hose to slow the progress of the fire, keeping the flames from extending into the home. Shortly after that, the fire department arrived on scene and the hazard was mitigated. Greg Bashan's quick actions on that morning most certainly saved lives and property, and you can make a really good argument that he saved Christmas as well.
Yes, sir.
No question.
Outstanding.
You were certainly not the Grinch that stole Christmas, but rather restored it.
Right
With
place,
that,
right time.
Drew, come on
Yeah.
down here.
So thank you, Greg.
I couldn't pick much good on it.
Councilman, if you do me the honor of presenting that, seeing as this is,
certainly can do
seeing as this is your
Power.
brother.
Mayor, do you have the power to make him put his jacket on?
I had to borrow
I-
the city van. So, wait, I don't have a jacket that fits, so anyways.
And it's the power I have
Your
over you, you don't
contribution.
have.
The city of Port Orange would like to recognize you for your quick actions and going above and beyond to help others in a time of need. We thank you for your continued efforts in saving lives and property. It's signed by our illustrious Mayor Don Burnett, dated February 7th, and point out that the incident did happen Christmas morning. And so we will give that
That's
to you.
awesome.
We will get a picture.
So Greg, for those of you that don't know, has a second career as a school guardian at Spruce Creek Elementary, and a couple of times I've been there. Mr. B, the kids call him. And one time I was doing a walk to school, and I was talking to the kids. I asked them about their guardian. Oh, Mr. B. I said, you know, he used to be a fireman, and they're like, no, really? They got all excited about it. So apparently you've been keeping that a secret from them.
I've been very blessed to have two careers that don't feel like a job at all. Very, very blessed. I jump out of bed in the morning, I'm ready to go.
So when I got word of what you did on Christmas Day, I immediately forwarded the clip to the principal there, Mrs. Hall. And Andrea Hall, in classic fashion, everybody knows Miss Hall. She is all about her school and all about her kids and all about her staff, and she's just a simple, why am I not surprised? So
She
it
tells
is-
me all the time, right place, right time, Mr. B, seems to always be there, so I guess that's
Never,
just really good.
never more true than now.
Thank you so much.
Great.
We're not gonna let you get off that music because I want you to come up here and tell everybody, like, your version of it and how the people reacted to some strange man pounding on their door at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Goes around 9.
Okay, so let's hear their reaction since they weren't able to attend.
Drew, you gotta stand next.
Yeah,
to
you
me.
gotta stand next to me. I need moral support.
Okay.
Not a great speaker, public speaker.
Just- yeah,
But yeah, it was just a Christmas morning heading to the kids' house, and that was probably the first of several trips. But we came around the corner. I noticed a lot of black smoke, and besides from the presents, we were taking the prime rib to smoke at my daughter's house. So I was like, dang, somebody's burning up their dinner. So, but it was so came around. Then I saw flames, and it's a tri-level house, and the soffit was all melted, and the flames were impinging on the attic space. So told my wife, Kim, there. And she called 911. I told her, structure fire, flame showing, the address. I ran up the steps, which I'm not gonna lie, I've been out 8 years, 9 in May, and the adrenaline rush, it felt pretty good. I was pretty excited. But it was more of a cop knock, early morning, yeah. So she seemed very, kind of a little bit disoriented, but she was like, I said, ma'am, you gotta get out of your house is on fire. And she said, you're kidding, right? I was like, no, I would not kid you about that. Get everybody out of the house. And then I went down. Luckily, there happened to be a garden hose hanging on the fence right there, and it hadn't melted yet. And I was able to get enough water on the fire to knock it down before the fire department got there and do what they do also all the time. They do a great job. And I got to see 2 people. I drive around a lot now and see firefighters, men and women that I don't even know because coming on 9 years. But Colleen was one of my drivers. She was the battalion chief that day, and Warren Faulkner, he was my last driver before I left the city. He was riding lieutenant. So it was pretty exciting. I'm not gonna lie. I was happy. It just felt natural. Just do the right thing, and being in the right place at the right time, and that was it. It was exciting.
How many people were in the house?
4.
You had your cells with that right place, right time.
Yeah.
But he also has to have the right reaction.
The little girl, they're all standing out in their pajamas, and she's like, that's Mr. B, because she was one of my students 2 years ago. And Dad's like, that's Mr. B. I'm like, okay. But yeah, no. And the only other thing I want to say is I've been a resident for going on 48 years now, and Lance and I played baseball together way back in the day, and Alan Green was our coach, and I remember that fondly. It was a great time. 4,900 people in Port Orange when I moved here, so it's definitely the city has grown a lot.
There's a few more than that.
Little few more than that now, but yep. But thank you very much for this. I really appreciate it. I was just feeling really well with you.
Consent agenda, would anyone care to comment on any of the items that's on consent? Public comments on consent agenda? There being none, can I get an approval for the agenda for the evening?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the evening as published. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve consent agenda items 8 through 12?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second, for approval of the consent agenda. Call the roll.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 4-0. Consent agenda is approved. And that brings us to public comments. Nice new cards. How come we didn't have these cards when Robin was doing this?
Change is good.
Mike Mellon and Matt Fisher.
Actually, there's two names on that, Mayor.
Yeah, Mike Mellon, Matt Fisher.
I'm Mike Mellon.
Live on East Bay Shore in Port Orange, so we connect.
This is a follow-up for our meeting back in October with several of the council. Referenced traffic commerce in the Harbor Oaks area. If you realize, Harbor Oaks has 2 streets that come off of US 1 and Riverside Drive, which runs down. We're basically a closed community. We don't have sidewalks. We have a lot of people that walk. So we have formed a petition, and we will present it to y'all formally. We know you have discussed it. Over 50-something people in a small community, and we only went from Oak Street south. So not even, just really the core Harbor Oaks area, east of US 1. We've had several accidents out there. Recently, as of the 29th of December, we had a young man that drove down the road and fortunately didn't hit anybody, but wiped out all the mailboxes. So what we're looking at, gentlemen, and when I last was in the council, there was a place I could put this down. Technology has outgrown me.
That's all right.
But if I can pass that forward. Yeah.
That works.
This is a resident who has put out her own slow sign. And these are tire tracks off of Main Street coming onto Riverside Drive, northbound. So, I go any further. From the people who are here from Harbor Oaks, if you would just raise your hands that are in support of this. So we would ask that y'all continue your traffic studies. Our research shows that these traffic calmers do in fact work. They are about $2,500 per, and we're not talking one, folks. We're talking a series of them throughout the community, East Bay Shore, Main Street, Riverside Drive, and Cedar Street. So we would ask you to put this on the fast track. I know there might be an ordinance that prohibits traffic calmers or speed bumps. Obviously, your legal will have to revise that ordinance through public hearings, but we would encourage you to help us in our neighborhood.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. You want to say anything?
Yeah, so we also have that restaurant that's...
Do me a favor, reset the clock for the next speaker.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Good call on that. So we also have that restaurant right at the end. See, he's the brains here. I'll give it all to him. So right at US 1 in East Bay Shore, we have that restaurant, Hidden Treasure.
Yeah.
It is frequent of a lot of people that just don't live here, and unfortunately, that being a bar really doesn't precedence to respect our neighborhood. So you'll have a lot of motorcycles that are like, oh, I want to go see that point over there. I want to drive around the river, so on and so forth. So these people will just kind of speed around the bends. We have a lot of bends to our streets, so it's not really like you have a line of sight for, 100 yards even. So with that being said, the traffic that's not necessarily supposed to be there, this is almost more so a deterrent and a safety feature for a lot of the people that are in our area, because it's not just kids running around bicycles. We have a lot of elderly people that are trying to get around and, visit. We have a really good relationship as a community too. So we're always walking to each other's houses, saying hi and building that. So I just want to always make sure that what we're doing back into the community is just continuing to encourage that relationship and growth together. So, yep.
I think she gets the petitions right.
Yes.
Yep.
She'll get all the.
Give her
Yeah.
these two.
Mike knows how it works.
Yeah, but I really blew it without the overhead.
Nah, you did. You did good.
Thank you. Mike, those
getting
are
old.
very old school.
Hey,
Matt,
I'm old.
Matt played Vanna White for you with the picture, so you're good.
thank you all. We
Thank you,
appreciate it.
gentlemen.
Mike.
Can I say something?
If you,
I live on Riverside.
you can't do it from there, JC.
And if I may, Mayor, can I ask you guys to stick around till council comments, please? Anyone from Riverside Drive?
So.
I grew up
Go
with
ahead and tell,
Lance.
come
Okay.
to the microphone, tell us who you are and where you live.
My name is J.C. Korn, friends with Jay Pierce and all the other locals that grew up in this area, Riverside Drive. And I'm a builder, been in this county a builder for 30 years. And what's happened on Riverside is we have a restructuring of the houses on the river. So right now, from Seminole South, we probably have 15 houses getting demoed and new construction going on. If you want to talk to Al Tischler, he will tell you how many new permits have been pulled on Riverside. So not only do we have this problem, we have 5 mason trucks, 5 cement trucks, 5 pull trucks, 5, I mean, it's nuts. Like, we go down our street, there's not FedEx, Dually, Amazon, everybody down our street's going 45 miles per hour every day. And they're not from here. We pay the taxes here. It's ridiculous. I mean, if my kid or dog walks out, they're done. That's it.
Thank you.
And Robert Reinhagen.
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive, Port Orange. I was at the workshop the other day where it was discussed the American Rescue Plan Act was, and there was a discussion about enhanced rules. And I would like to thank Councilman Foley for asking the question about the legality of exploiting a loophole to avoid these enhanced rules. But part of my concern continues to be Buy American, preferences for local businesses, Davis-Bacon, E-Verify. It seems to me that those shouldn't be considered enhanced rules. It should be a part and parcel of all of your procedure, your purchase procedures and practices. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Robert. Council comments. Reed, I already know you have something to say, so go ahead, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank Mike and everybody from Riverside Drive for coming out here. So this started when Harbor Oaks Church reached out about having some kind of a meeting, which I remember back in October I told you guys about. We met with residents on a variety of issues, and I took some staff members with me. One of the things that came from that, obviously, was the discussion of these speed tables. I believe it was back in January, it may have been December, I had made mention to you guys up here during council comments that I want to see if there was any interest in having those looked at. Clearly the residents have done the homework, which I want to applaud each and every one of you. Not only do you have an issue you're concerned about, but you're out here putting in the groundwork, you know, helping make it where we can look at this with easy, justifiable reasons. What I'd ask for is for Wayne to give us some kind of an update. I know we talked about this a little bit. Where do we stand on running the traffic study for this? Where are we in this process for trying to assist with this? And what advice do we have for these residents today?
We don't have the traffic study completed yet. We need council direction to move forward with that. Police can get out there and do the study. There are options to speed bumps. The ordinance prohibits speed bumps. There are other options to calm traffic, including vertical tables and other ways. There's horizontal things you can do with chicanes or medians and things to slow traffic down that are consistent with the ordinance. So it wouldn't necessarily require an ordinance change to put traffic calming in there. It would require some form of a design to make sure that it's safe on the road. So one of the things that they've already done that's a positive is that they've brought forward resident support. So usually when you do these things, you want to be sure that it's not one or two people asking for it, but the majority of the people, because it affects them all. So that's a really positive step that they have already taken in proactively showing community support for this. So that expedites the process as it is. So once the traffic study is complete, then we can start talking to them about options going forward, assuming, I mean, at some point they're going to be cost, as they've mentioned, and there's a variety depending on them. Some of them, there are going to be some questions we need to look at as to whether, like, some of the, you can put the little rubber mats down that slow it down. They're not as attractive. So at some point between the council and the neighborhood, we may want to consider what may cost a little bit more money, but may look better or may function better or be easier to maintain. So before we decide, it's probably better to finish the study, determine what it is, confirm the resident support, and then bring options back and say, here's 4 or 5 different ways to do it. Which do you all prefer, and get that feedback, because there's more than one way to slow the traffic down out there. We want to make sure it's what everybody thinks is the right way to do it.
And so just so we have started the traffic study though.
Police has started.
Okay, all right.
It's not complete.
So whenever we do get that complete, can I please get a copy of that, and I can be in contact with Mr. Mellon and also connect him with you, and we'll try and continue to communicate with the community as we go through that, and then we'll have to obviously talk about this as a council, how we all feel. Yeah. But I'd like to at least get the results of that traffic study so we can help them with that. So, all right. Thank you for that one.
Thank you for championing it too.
Absolutely. Well, Wayne made a great point. Like, it's much easier to sit here and represent when you know the community actually wants it. One person or 2 people or someone on social media is not the same as a group of residents getting together, writing petitions, coming forward, appearing at a council meeting and showing us that they really genuinely care about that. It makes it easy to be their representative because they're making it easy for me. So thank you to each and every one of y'all for being here. I appreciate that. Do you want me to go through all of mine since I'm already here?
That's on a roll.
All right. Congratulations, Vonda. She was awesome. That was absolutely, Literacy Week was last week of January, and Dawn was at Spruce Creek Elementary. We passed in the hall for a minute there, but really enjoyed getting to go and do that. And congratulations to her. She's awesome. Made me love math just a little bit more. Probably wouldn't hurt to have her around come budget time, right?
Exactly.
Help us all. And Greg, man, awesome, really, to do that Christmas morning especially, but a fine example of what makes Port Orange so great. Just our community and our residents being there for one another, whether that's something planned or whether that's spur of the moment, but thank you for that. That's awesome. I also just want to make sure I touch on, speaking of, being there for our community, we had our volunteer police appreciation dinner here last week, which was a lot of fun. There's one individual who's been working for that for 40 years, and another one 20. There's some really awesome people in that group, and there's some vacancies. So if anybody knows someone who wants to get involved, I know that our department would greatly appreciate some applicants. I thought it was just awesome to see the turnout for that, and just appreciate their service. And I think that's enough. It's the longest council comment section I've ever had, so I'm done.
Gene, you get to come back and do it again in 2 weeks.
Hey, there you go.
Scott?
Just a quick comment on that area down there. So I know we previously talked about bringing this all back in a workshop as well, but that may be one of the most ideal areas in our city to do kind of a pilot test on this, so to speak, because of the uniqueness of it. The challenges with the roads are super narrow. There's a lot of tree-lined streets. It is very unique, so you don't have a lot of the spatial wants, if you will, that you may be looking for in some applications. But so when we bring that back in a workshop, I think that's something we should also focus on, as well as like Councilman Foley's talking about, is that you've got such a large portion of the neighborhood that's on board with doing something. Because the one thing about with a lot of those things like this, we're probably going to have areas of the cities where this will work really well, and other areas where it may not. It may not be as well invited, but I do think that this is an area that we can look at and see, and let's, I know it's something that the city hasn't ever done, but maybe it's time. So we can certainly do that. In another comment, just a lot of stuff coming up in the city in the next couple of months. I encourage people to stay connected to the city social media pages and our public information officer. There's tons of festivals at parks and stuff that's going to be going on at City Center, and hopefully we'll get some good weather, and we're thankfully on the backside of a lot of the storm recovery, and it's going to be time for our residents to try to get back out and enjoy the community. This past weekend there was a small little event that was organized by some community folks over at Bushman Park, and I just want to say hats off to our Parks and Rec department. The park looks stunningly beautiful. I mean, it really looks great. People who don't know where Bushman Park is, I encourage you to look it up. Go down there on a weekend, park your car, grab a cup of coffee, what have you, and just go for a walk. There is a whole part of Bushman Park that you would not know existed unless you drive into the park and get out and walk across that little bridge. And it looks great. And there had to be, I don't know, maybe 80 or so folks who showed up kind of for the event, but there was a lot of residents that were enjoying that park prior to and after and all day. So just want to compliment Parks and Rec for the job they've done to get the parks.
That used to be a best kept secret, but the secret's out.
Yeah. And if you know the history of how we acquired that property, it's pretty interesting as well. So
I know that history.
So
does my brother.
Drew?
So yeah, I'd just like to again applaud the residents of Harbor Oaks for taking the action and doing it the right way. The petitions, and that's the way to voice your feelings, and you can come to us anytime, but when you do it as a group, it just has a bigger impact. So it certainly is an area we need to consider this in. As always, funding it will be the challenge, but
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, there are ways, we can try a lot of things and see what the study says and see where we can go. So again, kudos to you guys for doing that. Like to thank Vonda and Greg again for what they did. That was pretty awesome to have that. And man, math teachers have come a long way since I got out of school. She's just amazing. Thanks to Chief Mischke and Anita Burnett for laying down the groundwork. Good job, Chief. And that's about it. Just a pretty good night.
Okay. Wayne, first of all, on consent tonight, we approved, I just wanted to point out, we approved the MOU and the contract agreement for the IFF for our firefighters. And I know that in a non-contract year is a lot of hard work. I just want to thank you and John and the rest of the staff for working really hard. It is very difficult when your job is to take care of our employees, but at the same time making sure that you do it within our means, because that's the means is what our taxpayers give us to do it. So I know that we have more to do with the negotiations. So I just wanted to give you my thanks, because I know you and John and the rest of the staff work really hard on that. One thing, it's an interesting dichotomy when you have a union environment. Union negotiations, by definition, are sometimes, it's a process where, there's a lot of back and forth, there's a lot of give and take. But at the end of the day, they are our people and they take care of our citizens. So I just wanted to give you my thanks for that. And I was going to say Parks and Rec. I got to walk through the rec last week. It's not quite there yet, but to see that building, what it's about to become when it opens, it truly will be a place where I don't care whether you're age 8 or age 80, you'll be able to go there and do something and enjoy yourself. And I very much look forward to its completion. So we're looking at sometime in March, I believe. We'll nail that date down and let people know. And there is a lot going on in parks, because I think we're going to probably be pushing 800 kids for baseball. So when we talked last week at a workshop about the need for parks, let's go out to Karasi. We have a multi-purpose facility out there without enough room to do multi-purpose events. We're going to take a look at what we need for facilities for the next 10, 20, 25 years to serve our city. Forget growth. I'm just talking about now. And while we have a lot of people in the room and there are people listening, we're probably going to be floating some kind of bond initiative next year to take care of those needs. And people can decide for themselves. We've done it before. We purchased a lot of environmentally sensitive land along Spruce Creek in the 90s with that kind of effort. We've done new police stations, new fire stations with these kind of efforts. And it is a very low-cost way of doing it as we spread out the cost over time, over many people who are going to enjoy the facilities over many years. So just want to let people know that's something that we're working on. We are very, very much aware of our strengths, and we're very much aware that when you have a high-quality city, these kind of services will always be in high demand, and we are working on those things. And I think that is it for my list. Special reports. Item 14, report from Kipper Sports to the Cypress Head Golf Course.
Speaking of good-looking facilities.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Jeff Dayton. I'm the new general manager at Forest Creek, Cypress Head. Excuse me. Still saying the name of my last property. That's terrible.
That's all right.
So Cypress Head is doing great.
Why don't you hold up just a second? We'll allow everybody to sneak out of the room.
Okay.
And wish them a good night. I won't be able to give you my full attention, and appreciate y'all being here this evening. It's all yours.
So I've been on property now 3.5 months. We're rebounding from the storm. My family moved here just after Ian hit, and we're here for Nicole, and we feel for the residents of Port Orange, and the course itself rebounded nicely. The efforts of our grounds crew did an amazing job bringing the course back. Financially, we are started out in a 2-week hole. We are now at 421,000 revenue through December, which is about 8,000 over budget for the first quarter, highlighted by some great shop sales. Our expenses and payroll through the first quarter are over by about 15,000 respectively, and that puts our EBITDA and net income under about 35,000. We're having had a great month of January that we just closed out. The financials aren't final, but we're going to make up some significant ground, and we expect to be back on track with budget by the end of February. Rounds played, 10,557, over budget, but under prior year by about 1,600. The National Golf Foundation just put out a report, and 2022 rounds of golf went down in the southeast region about 2 to 4%. So we're on trend with that, but we're still doing well. The course is doing great. It's in great condition. Our NPS score for December was 92.0, which is, if you know anything about an NPS, is a very good score, leading our company. We have a great team concept going at Cypress Head, and the staff is performing admirably. The players' assistants we've put in place have been really well received by the golfers. We have somebody riding around the course daily now, monitoring play, helping them out, and that's helped their pace of play. And we've also had some daily and monthly raffles, which are really, really good. We're giving away some nice prizes on a daily basis and also on a monthly basis. That's got some interest of all of our members and guests. So the forecast for the second quarter, we're looking to catch up on budget, like I said. Bookings are very solid through March. Course looks great. It's the best in Volusia County, and the tournament booking pace is still very strong for the rest of the year. We're going to continue our social media and our email marketing, and we're very optimistic about the rest of this year. So things are looking up.
Jeff, welcome. You certainly took over at an interesting time.
Yes.
With the hurricanes and the like, everybody's personal aspect of it, and then from the professional standpoint. But you've also got a tough act to follow, and we probably had the best year we've ever had at that golf course. And now I got to challenge you to trying to find a way to beat it. So.
Right. Well, we're trying. Like I said, the rounds are trending down, but Cypress Head is trending up. So in this area, the economy, we were a little concerned, thinking that the storms and the damage that was done to the area might affect the tourism, especially pertaining to golf. But from what we're seeing, it hasn't affected the golf course.
You've certainly had great weather for it, too.
Yes, yes.
That doesn't hurt. Do we have any questions?
No, looks good out there.
Okay.
Keep up the good work.
I will say while you're here that I've reached out to the city attorney, the city manager, and I know the chief of police is looped in as well. Some of the residents out there have been concerned about kind of an active trend or growing trend, if you will, of some folks coming out there fishing in the ponds that border the course and stuff like that. And so hasn't been it's been problems in the past. It's kind of one of those on and off type things, but the city attorney and the city staff is looking into it, and probably you could expect at some point some kind of updates on how we want to handle that citywide, and we need to update our own staff, and we've got new people, new places, and kind of loop in the HOA, because some of the retention areas out there belong to the HOA while everything else belongs to the city of Port Orange. And of course, things that are part of the golf course are handled a lot differently than other public ponds and things like that. So anyway, I'm not sure if if that's been brought to light to you yet.
We discussed it briefly.
Good.
In our golf advisory board meeting. So
there'll be some more coming to that, and then the staff will be able to update the council on going forward how we're going to handle it, so that we can be consistent with. That's the big thing with that out there, is consistency. We want to make sure that the elected officials, the staff, the management team, the HOA, the residents, everybody's on the same sheet of music and understands when there's an issue, this is who you call, and this is what you can expect and how it'll be taken care of. So sometimes the rumors create their own life, so to speak, and grow, and
right.
With all the things that can and can't be done or what's going to happen, but we'll get on top of it.
We'll be ready to take the direction that we're given. So
sure, good.
Very good. Anybody else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good night.
Thanks a lot. Good to see you. And welcome.
Item 15, board appointments, interviews, and reports. Environmental Advisory Board report.
Hello, everybody.
Here she is.
We are a very busy board. We have a lot of projects going on, and we have some that are designated to make our city look better. Some of them we are to clean up the city, and others are some projects that we are doing for the residents. So we had asked Steve, the forester, to look into whether we could be a tree city of the world. Wouldn't that be an awesome designation? And Mr. Mayor, DeLand has this designation.
Were you trying to get my competitive danders up?
I'm just saying.
I will be talking to Mayor Cloudman. Thank you very much.
They have that designation. We out of 4 out of 5 we do qualify for, except for one. Might be something we can overcome. Has to do with trees and being able to do a tree inventory. It's just a beginning discussion, but hopefully through volunteers and maybe through time and how the city increases their computer capacities and so on and so forth, that we could get this designation. But Volusia County, DeLand does have it. The next city is Sanford, just throwing that in there. But there really actually are very few in the country. It's quite a designation. Water goat, to remind you what a water goat is, it's a line, it's a netting that you put across a canal. It captures the garbage that's going from the canals to prevent it from going into the river. Holly Hill has one, Edgewater has some. I've reached out to the county and she has given me some information to get grants. We have contacted the company that has provided those to the 2 other cities, and so we're working on that. The city has designated 2 of our canals for potential water goat projects. We are, you may not seen us at the Fall Festival. We were giving trees away. We had a wonderful response. Once everybody started to believe us, they really thought it was
Thought you were selling trees?
Well, not selling them, that it was a raffle, it was something. It's like, no, just sign up. So we ended up giving away almost 80 trees. And that was just an amazing amount that once the word got out, we were taking people's names. So we are giving them out at the Spring Festival. We are also getting more so that anybody that wants a tree who comes to the Spring Festival, until we run out, they'll be able to get a free tree as well. So it's going to be a really exciting project that hopefully we will have every year. You may have noticed that the county had one this year. If you aren't familiar with the success of that one, prior to 2019 they had one. They had plants left over. This year they had them practically gone when they just opened up. There were a lot of very unhappy people, but that's because it was so successful. What a way to go. And so hopefully we will be increasing our tree inventory as well. We are a tree city, as everybody knows, and we have signs that we would like to put up. Steve, our forester, he got the signs. We just need to educate people on our tree city status and what we do, and we have to have people understand that sometimes a tree has to come down. They're diseased, there are various reasons, and when we put up our tree designation, which we hope to put close to the I-95 exit and where people can see it, it doesn't bring any negativity to when people see our staff taking down trees. So education is the best way for us to get across that trust the system. Our staff is doing a great job. They know what they're doing. It's not just I want to take my tree down process. There's a lot more to take a tree down than just us asking for it. And so we want to make sure we get those signs up. And also we are focusing and trying to get the attention to the irrigation issue behind us, wherever the library is. Those trees are having problems. They're stressed, and they're stressed all the way to the recreation office over there because of our irrigation. So as the trees being our focus, we need to make sure we stay on top of the irrigation issues that we went outside, we looked at them, we can see where the growth has come. Okay, let's update our irrigation. Does anybody have any questions?
No. You have been busy.
We are very busy. We have a great board. We also have a vacancy. So wanted to put that out there.
We know the feeling.
Yeah, yes, I'm aware of your vacancy as well. So anybody that would like to apply, just go on the website and please apply to get on the board. We have the most enthusiastic people, and we really want to make a difference in our city. Thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Golf Course Advisory Board report.
All right. Lance Green, Golf Advisory Committee. We just had a meeting tonight, went over several things. The first thing is the financials. Went through all the numbers of last year, and regardless of having a hurricane and some damage and so on, we still were able to make a profit. Rounds were down, but we still made a profit. But now that Jeff's on board, the new guy's on board, again, great management. He's a great manager. I see good things with him. He's pretty stern, and he's made some changes going in. Everybody's going to wear name tags again, and everybody that works there is going to, you're going to know who works there. So he's implemented some
customer
things.
service.
Yeah, he's implemented some things that that a lot of people are happy about, and so with that, we're on the upside with that. And again, I think Kemper continues to do a really good job for the city. A couple of the big issues that we talked about, and a couple of things we talked about last month, was our aquatic plants that we had planted to try and save some of the banks and some of the erosion that was going on. Of course, we planted them right before the hurricane, so we lost a considerable amount. We lost about 40% of them. Our contractor came back and planted some more back for us, obviously as a grace to us, but overall it's working. The growth that's on some of the edges of the ponds, especially like 14, is there, and the roots are established now, and we're confident going forward that we're not going to continue to keep having these erosion problems. And again, it all stemmed from us torching the aquatics off of the ponds without knowing what the repercussions were. So now that we've got the aquatics back growing, everything should be stabilized. We're not looking at some huge expense down the road to try and restabilize banks and so on. And at the same time, the golfers are still okay with it. I mean, there's a few more golf balls being sold in the pro shop, but that's okay. We'll take that. The other big issue that we're facing is going to be the cart path repairs. I mean, we've talked about this before, and what I see out there in the neighborhood, even after Ian, is you see all kinds of sidewalks starting to settle more and more and more. As the water table goes up and goes back down, things move. The problem right now that we're facing is the economics of small repairs. You can't get someone to come out and repair 3 small areas of cart path. And if you did, you're paying 10 times what its real value is. So we're faced with these challenges moving forward because there's a lot of cart path that really needs to be addressed. Some of it may need to be ground down, but a lot of it does need to be replaced. So in the next coming couple years, as we move forward towards these budgets and these things, we're going to have to potentially take a look at even doing, a front 9, a full-on, whatever it takes, replace, repair, grind, fix, but do the front 9, and then maybe 2 years later we do the back 9 kind of thing, or whatever it's going to take economically. But it's a big deal. The golf course is 30 some odd years old now, as is the neighborhood. The trees have grown, and the swamp is still a swamp, and it's something that we're gonna end up facing as time goes on. And like I said, just because of the economics of concrete, we're trying to look at all the options. Is the option going to be asphalt down the road? Is it still going to be concrete? Is it going to be nothing? But I think the consensus is that the course looks nice with a concrete path. But with that being said, everything's going well. I mean, we've got a great team of people out there. We got the best superintendent in the area. Our course continues to just look outstanding, and he is on top of the things that he needs to be in front of. But things like the cart path are a big deal, and he's out there trying to do some work out there with his maintenance men when really he needs to be taking care of the course itself. So, but other than that, we're looking good, and looking forward to another good year.
Okay.
Questions? Lance, does I'm not trying to put you on the spot. You can bring it back to the board, but I'm just kind of curious: is Kemper or the management team doing anything to try? You've got a lot of growth out there in that area. You've got that whole Woodhaven development, and the secret to maintaining the course is rounds. We got to keep people playing and wanting to go out there. Do they do anything to try to kind of market the course to these new homeowners and residents that
Oh,
are moving in out
absolutely.
there? Are they doing some stuff out
They
there?
do, and we've talked about this now going on for several years with Kemper.
Okay.
They almost put door knockers down. Hey,
Excellent. Good.
come buy one get one free rounds down there. And at the same time, and this goes back to your other little statement about fishing. What we see out there is you're starting to see a lot of houses turn over. You're starting to see a lot of new residents. Somebody buys a house on the golf course. They go, wow, this is my backyard. I'm gonna go play on the tee box. I'm gonna go play on the pond that's on the golf
Right.
course. And so we're running into that issue. As the our HOA and between Kemper, we're again trying to put out a few more signs saying, now it's trespassing. Instead of just saying authorized people only, it's now you're trespassing. And the same thing with the fishing deal. I still think there's some gray area when it comes to fishing and how, it goes. But if it's a city pond on the golf course and you live on the other side of the pond, on the homeowner side of the pond, you can fish your backyard. You can't fish the golf course side. But there was some gray area and some discussions about this, but there is some people out there taking advantage of all of it. I mean, literally going out there in golf carts at night and shining lights on the pond into people's houses to go fishing is not going to be acceptable. So our HOA and Kemper are working hand in hand on that as far as getting the proper signage up, getting the proper things in the right place. So in the event that we do have to, like you said, be consistent, it's going to be consistent all the way around. So.
Got it.
I was just getting ready to switch out my 9-iron for a Shakespeare.
Yeah, I've seen your game. And again, one other thing, and I'll just say it because if we're on TV, is that there are bathrooms on our golf course, and we ask our golfers to use them. We still have a situation between holes number 15 and 16, and I mean it's literally got barbed wire, electric fences. It looks like a penitentiary, and people will still go and urinate in the guy's backyard. And it's not acceptable, and again, it's going to be dealt with as we move forward. But again, just want to put that note out there. Please use the restrooms. But other than that, we're in good shape.
Anything else? Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Lance.
The regular agenda portion of our meeting is now open. Items 17 and 18. The first item is item 17, declaration of vacant council seat, District 2. That is very ministerial in nature. The real discussion will be on item 18. Item 17, the recommended motion is moved to declare a vacancy for the council member seat in District 2. May I have such motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. I think it's pretty self-apparent that there is an opening and that we need to do something about it. Any other comments, council? Would anyone here care to speak to this? There being none, back to council. Final comments. On the motion to declare a vacancy for the council member seat in District 2, call the roll.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 4-0. Item 18 is really where we get the rubber meets the road. It's really a couple tiers here. One, of course, is having a special election and figuring out an appropriate schedule. Robin is going to go through a PowerPoint there with us with some recommendations. The other part of it is that, of course, we need to appoint an interim, and my feeling is that we should do that as quickly as possible, and I'd like council's consensus to do that at the next meeting. I'll wait till after Robin's presentation to discuss that as well, but we could open that up for application as early as tomorrow morning and have that run through next Friday. Would be my recommendation. That way, at the end of the day, business Friday, and that would be able to allow us to have the applications and resumes of the applicants to review over the weekend, and even have conversations with them individually if we so we'd have roughly a 10-day application process. So we review them over the next 4 days, and then on the 21st make that appointment near the beginning of the meeting would be my recommendation. But Robin, why don't you go ahead and show us what you got, and then we'll have that discussion.
Sure. Robin Fenwick, Assistant City Manager. We will as you know, and you just declared, we have a vacancy on the city council. So pretty much following the process that we've done in 2019 and 2021 when we
have
had
a template.
when we had vacancies. So nothing real new to see here, but we do have some policy items for your consideration. And the first one being what's the criteria for this interim council member? Residency has been a question that we've received from you guys, whether they need to live in District 1 or not.
Two.
I mean 2, sorry. 2. I was
I got very
reading
defensive.
last year's, I'm so sorry. Or 2 years ago. But yeah, District 2, sorry. And so, basically need to run through what application you want to use, deadlines for submittals, as you've already suggested. If council's good with that, we can stick with that time frame. Just looking for direction so we can post on the website as soon as possible and start taking those applications.
Okay.
And then, of course, we'll talk about a special election date. And we have Lisa Lewis, our supervisor of election, here to answer any questions that I can't answer. And
So what did you find out about the residency part? Were you saying?
so I don't know if Matt wants to speak to that. It's discussed in our charter as far as the elected position, but
Yeah, so it's silent as to the appointment of an interim individual. However, when read in material with the remainder of the charter, it clearly establishes that the council makeup will be one from each district, no more than 2, the second being the mayor. So read as a whole, it'd have to be my opinion that we would take somebody, even in a temporary position, from that district who would be otherwise qualified to sit in the seat.
Yeah, I would agree. My curiosity was, in the event we didn't have somebody from the district who wanted, are we
Who's
able
qualified?
to go outside? I clearly think that the charter and the intent, and probably everybody up here, wants to see the district itself represented by a resident from the district. So, but I was just kind of curious if we found ourselves,
To that point,
for some reason,
we
in that
saw
unfortunate
what good district representation does in the turnout we had for a different issue tonight. That's why this is critical.
Yeah. So, okay, thanks.
welcome.
You want to do the second slide now? Do you want us to, I tell you what, before we do that, because that's on the special election
Right.
date options. The process of selecting an interim, opening up the process with a closing date of, next Friday be the 17th?
Correct.
At 5 p.m. and making that selection as a council on the 21st. Does that process sound palatable to you, gentlemen?
Sure.
Because if it does, I need a motion to that effect.
Move to approve that we will nominate an interim at the next meeting.
Okay?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion, council?
My only discussion for that will be that, and this will pertain to where we're going in the next part of the topic, is the interest of the length of how we're going to get things done. Like, I've got some concerns. I'll just real quick throw them out there on the table. There's a lot coming up for us in the city. So this, in the very next few months, we are going to be dealing with 3 union contract negotiations. We'll be entering the budget cycle. We've got a lot on the table with Riverwalk. And in addition, there's a lot of other things going on in the city. So what my hope is that either we can try to expedite this and do this as quickly as possible and get somebody elected and get them in the seat as early as possible this year to see what that timeline looks like, or that we do it much later in the year so that we're not bringing somebody in potentially in the midst of right in the middle of a lot of stuff, because the catch-up speed is, we all know, it takes time.
Yep.
Even when staff is as good as they are, it's a lot. And when you haven't been to all those meetings and you haven't had all those sessions with staff and things like that, coming right in the middle of that, can be really tough.
Right.
So that would just be point of discussion for me, is I'd like to see it either how quickly can we get this done and get somebody in those seats as early as possible in the budget cycle and with the contract negotiations and all that stuff we've got coming up, or do we look at it and say, well, maybe the interim should stay interim longer and push the election more towards the fall
And that'll be
portion? So that's
the next, certainly the next topic
exactly.
we're
So
talking about.
I bring that to the point where, yeah, I'm good with us, let's get an interim nominated, but the interim may also be interested to know, you know, as the candidates, they may want to be,
Could be
okay,
there a
well,
little
is it for 2 months or is it for 10 months type of thing?
We'll know at the end of the next portion. I think even more relevant to that is that, do we want it, you know, is it 2-2 votes?
No.
We definitely don't want that.
No.
The
No.
other thing is that there are other aspects in play. The interim could decide to run, in which case that person could win and continue to serve. Or they might not decide to run, in which case somebody else would be in that seat. Or the interim could decide to run and somebody else would be selected by the people long-term. So all those are variables that we need to consider at the next step. Back to setting a schedule for appointing the interim, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Any comments about that?
I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. Obviously, like Scott was saying, I think we all want somebody from that district. If no one applies in the interim from that district, where does that leave us? We go out again in 2 weeks after that? Like, what's that process look like?
If we don't have any applicants to choose from, that's going to be the
Or
first thing we're going to be
should-
discussing in the 21st.
Or should other people who are interested who are not living in district consider reaching out to the clerk, or just absolutely not, Matt? I'm trying to get some.
I would recommend you hold it open if you don't have a qualified candidate
Okay.
come in.
I just want to get some
Yeah.
insight on that.
Okay.
All right, I'm good. Thank you.
Anyone care to discuss the current motion on the floor, which is to name an interim at the next meeting and open up the process? There being none, final comments on that particular motion.
Mayor, how are we gonna advertise that and get it out there? Because it's kind of short.
Oh, I think we have a
Sure.
PIO, but
Okay.
I think the advertising
that-
started 2 weeks ago when we
Yeah, yeah, nothing official.
I think we have a
but-
PIO
but
that can
it's-
handle that.
Okay, so we're
But
gonna
I think
push.
he's already been, well, I don't have to think, I know that he's already
Yeah.
been prepping to get the word out.
Perfect.
Call the motion? Call the roll on the motion?
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Councilman Steltner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 4-0. So, one caveat that I want to mention on that, Robin, is that we're opening up the application process tomorrow, run through Friday of next week. Instead of collecting them and then forwarding them to us, could you forward them to us as they come in?
Yeah.
You know, if you get one tomorrow or Thursday or next week, just, you know, and of course we'll have the whole bunch in the agenda packet, but all of us, I think, would be interested in having the time to discuss with the potential candidates, and that would be very helpful in that endeavor.
Absolutely, and you want an application and resume, is that correct?
If at all possible, yeah, absolutely.
Resume with it, so it's already actually open on the website as far as our application, because it's our normal board and committee application. And it's got a box for this position, and it's ready to accept a resume as an upload as well. So that is up there right now, but we'll actually have a website just like we've done in the past and all that first thing tomorrow morning. I
We
just
got-
have to hit publish with the dates.
You've got to keep the clerk's office at a high level of excitement these next few weeks, right?
All right, so then the second portion is the actual special election dates. So I provided just some options that I talked with Lisa Lewis about. She does
Lisa
recommend
Lewis, who is that again?
Supervisor of Elections
Okay.
for Volusia County, and a godsend during special elections for sure. So these are just some options. Again, it's up to you how you want to handle this. I know Lisa's kind of recommending the August, for a couple of reasons. It helps her staff to stay on schedule with what they've already got going on. It's a known date or time frame for our citizens, because August is what we normally do as our primary, with the runoff in November. So you can see the qualifying period and when our legal ads are due based on your direction tonight. And of course, Lisa and I are here if you have any questions.
Why don't we hear from our illustrious supervisor?
Absolutely.
'Cause I'm sure that the council will have questions.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Lisa Lewis, Supervisor of Elections. Just on the dates for qualifying for the August and November election, it is June.
Oh, yes, it is June.
Just so.
I have my birthday in my brain.
Okay.
So
Wait,
those
say
are just
say
the
that again.
normal
Where are we
dates.
looking at, Lisa?
The qualifying dates for the August and November
Got it.
elections
Gotcha,
are
gotcha.
June 12th through the
Okay.
16th.
Okay.
And we have two other cities that actually run in the odd year, and those are the dates. So we
Okay.
keep everything on track. And I will tell you, after last year and before we're coming up on 2024, I have given 3 of my top staff members vacation this year. Like vacation overseas. Like they're gone for 2 weeks. So it is right in the midst of this. They know to be back by June when qualifying is. So that is another reason. And one personal reason for me is I have to have my knee replaced.
Wore that one out?
And I have a new grandbaby coming, so I've got to get ready.
So no more kicking your staff around.
That is true. I did too much of that. But, you know, we will work with whatever you wish as best we can. I do want to just tell you, in case anybody reads the statute, that 100.151, special elections called by local governing bodies, is you cannot call one until notice is given and we open up the registration books for a special election. Which, you know, we will. I implore you and I almost beg you to go with the August to November. It really would help us, but we will get it done. One of your biggest precincts here is Spruce Creek High School. And in the odd year, we do not use the school, so I will have to find probably 3 places to replace that one, because there is over 10,000 voters that actually vote there.
Can we use city facility? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's just, I know that by the nature of, you know, there'll be, it'll be a low turnout election and there'll probably be a fair amount of mail-ins. So I know you'll probably have some consolidated.
And just speaking on the mail-ins, vote-by-mail ballots all ended the end of last year, December 31st.
Everybody's got to sign up
So
for it
everybody
again.
has to sign up again. So we are doing a push for which we'll add Port Orange in also for these elections this year. And we may end up going ahead and mailing out to the full county just to get a jump start on 2024. But 2024, people are not thinking of that at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay.
So I don't want them to throw our mailer aside and say, you know.
Yeah. And this, I'm kind of torn between sooner is better than later, and also making sure that we have a process that can be respected. You know, the problem with a shortened campaign season in a year where there's no elections, it can limit the quality of candidates based on who can enter and turn it around and make it happen. And I don't know. Gentlemen, what do you think? Why don't we start with Reed?
Can you put those dates back up?
Well, I really appreciate staff adding the extra notes there about the Good Friday and the budget workshop, because those 2 are out immediately for me. I share in a lot of the comments you're hearing up here. It's either sooner or later. No real interest in doing anything in the middle. Lisa, if I'm understanding you correctly, you have other elections occurring on August 22nd and on November 7th
Correct.
Already. Does it save the taxpayers any money, or is it still going to cost us the same amount no matter
Same
which day we
amount,
pick?
yeah. In the odd year, the cities do pay.
Okay. I'm just curious if they're, because that would be another really good reason. But I appreciate your comments as well with as to your staff and personal reasons. I appreciate what you're saying. I'm doing math in my head on how many days it is until May 9th right
Not
now.
a lot.
And that's not very many, is it?
It is.
You also, when you think about this kind of thing, and having been somebody who's had to run a special election, and actually ran 2 of them, you know, previously it's been pretty quick, and you have to find your resources and throw it all together, and then you know, being on the losing side, you ask yourself, well, if I had more time, could I have maybe, you know, gave my message out more? Could I have convinced more people? Could I have proven that I was a person for the job? And so when you rush things, you might put candidates at a little bit of a disadvantage if somebody sincerely wants to run and is capable of doing a good job. You might put them at a disadvantage unintentionally. Versus if you go all the way to August, then you give time for residents and candidates alike. You give candidates a chance to produce their platform, explain why they're running, and convince residents, and you have a wider opportunity for residents to learn about these candidates. I mean, we live in a instant hot pocket society where everything's like this. Social media is just coming at you, right? And so you feel like you learn a lot, but it takes time to really get those points across and to learn. So I would say I'm leaning towards August right now.
Scott?
Yeah, my thoughts on that, Reed, are that all the candidates, regardless of who they are, all have to play by the same rules.
Mhm.
So nobody's really at a disadvantage. There's no advantage or disadvantage. They're all playing that same timeline. Nobody gets a different timeline. I just know, having been on the council now for 8 years, that July, August, and September, there is a lot on our plates, and there are a lot of critically important meetings and votes. My preference would be that we get it done as quickly as possible. I think that the candidates and that want to serve on this are going to want to do this can make a lot of things happen in a very short amount of time. We're a good-sized city, but we're not a metropolitan, which is good. You've got the power of social media. There's a lot of things that I think you can look at and say, yeah, and the mayor's right, you know, regardless of whether it's something we do on the front end of this or the back end, it's going to be a very small voter turnout, no matter what. We just know that's going to happen,
Absolutely.
right? We've seen this before, so we know how this is going to go. But that's just my thoughts, you know. I almost wish if the latter was after September, then I could probably look at that and go. But you know, the later date even puts you more in those critical positions and timelines for, you know, the things that we've got that we know is coming up.
You
so.
could go with a November 7th date, and
So
then
go
a
even
runoff if you
further away.
needed.
Yeah.
I mean, that,
You go with a November 7th date, and then your runoff is a year from now.
Yeah, I know.
That's tough.
I mean, that's my preference would be to try to get it done as quick as possible. I just think that's worked out for us in the past. That's kind of the position that we took. It worked out, you know. I mean, we ended up with you, so, you know. But to your point, I mean,
So this vote is a referendum on my voting record the last 2 years. Got it.
But that's just my thought, only because I think not only for us as the elected body, but also for our staff. I think it helps our staff to try to get this done as soon as possible too. So
I think that if we end
that's
up.
just my thoughts.
Okay. Drew, go ahead.
I know I'm going to be gone at the end of June through July 4th, so that late June date is out. I kind of think that we should work the August date and make it a little bit easier on staff at the elections office and do that. I don't really want to rush it. Yeah, I just think out of all those, I feel our best shot is going to be August.
Okay. Well, one thing to note is if we select a good, solid interim, it
That-
takes some of the pressure off
For
the
sure.
immediacy.
For sure.
I'm going to just go run down each particular date in my comments. May, would I like to be able to do it in May? I absolutely would. I think that would be a very, very tough thing to do. And I think I go in respect for the voter and allowing them the time it takes to get to know the candidates, that's not really a lot of time. When we start getting into June elections, the 13th or the 27th, those are travel months for a lot of people in this city. And this is also a city that, generally speaking, has, we are not the most populous city, but we generally end up on election day with more registered voters than everybody else, and a larger percentage of, so this is a very active electorate. I have to respect that. July, either of those dates, those people will be getting sworn in right in the middle of budget season. That's a difficult ask, particularly when we've had those conversations going on in workshops and the like, and it might even cause us to go backwards. August, person would get sworn in most of the at first meeting in September. At that point, we're just down to the ordinances, and the hard work on budget is done. I prefer sooner better than later, but I just see all the dates in the middle being problematical, and the first date is just awfully quick. Beyond that, I don't know. The only thing I have to say is that Robin prepared a two-page PowerPoint, and I think John McKinney needs to take note.
Ironically, we're just discussing whether or not we're going to have a bunch of, or how many applicants are going to do the temporary. And then I'm also looking at the runoff dates. In the event you have 3, then you're looking at, you got to look at those and put those in consideration as well. You have July 25th. So then, you're talking about if you end up with a runoff and someone comes in there, and then they're getting thrown right into budget season almost with their very first meeting in August.
Yep.
That's a lot to put on somebody. I'm 100%.
Keep in mind your shade meetings too.
Absolutely.
These meetings are one thing, but as we've seen very recently, it is very difficult for somebody to get up to speed after a lot of shade meetings that happen during these contract negotiations.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. I'm open-minded. Like, I don't disagree with you, Scott. And when I said disadvantage, I don't mean anyone individually.
Right.
I mean collectively, residents versus, candidates. I'm open-minded to the earliest date, and I'm open-minded to the latest date. I don't know, but it sounds like from comments we're kind of split here too, which is exactly why we need to put somebody in a seat very soon.
You think? Well, let's put it this way. We've all heard from each other. And before I even asked for a motion to be put on the floor to be voting on, I want to hear from the public. Does anyone here have like to comment on when they think the special election should be held? I was looking right at you when I said it, Robert. Come on.
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive North, Port Orange. My comments would be, if you wanted to get somebody on early, in order to give them an opportunity to reach the citizens, I think you could provide each candidate pay a web page on the city's website, and that they could publish some sort of statements, and everybody could get to easy. And secondly, you could do some sort of a debate, sponsor a debate, so that they again can reach the public, and it would give them and I would suggest that you not have an interim, and you go with an early one, and just get it done. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
And that does bring up a couple of points, and I believe, Lisa, you do have a spot for candidate profiles on the website, right? So that has not changed. And I'll be happy to reach out to some business partners to see about maybe a business partner or the Chamber of Commerce sponsoring a debate. Chris, did you have something to say? And you only get 3 minutes for this one.
Chris Cunningham, 150 Sweet Gum Lane. Kat was here. She had no opposition. None of you had opposition. Do a great job. There's a lot of confidence in this council. anybody coming in now that even is aware of what has been going on, you have to have some sort of focus on our government and what has happened in the last few weeks. If you don't, nobody knows they don't have a representative. They think everything is just fine. It's a small, well, not a small district, but it's a district that would require somebody to take the job into consideration in their livelihood. In a day or two, I mean, within 10 days of next Friday, that's a lot of time to sit down and put together an application, put together a resume, and decide if your whole life is going to be able to accommodate the demands of this job. And if you are out there watching what's going on, that sort of focus has to change very quickly from my family, my other job, whatever it is. And if you have a full-time job, you're going to have to change that as well. That needs some time. Otherwise, nobody's going to show up. So I think even as much as who knows when to vote, at least August is an established time. And looking at the how long it takes to raise money and get out there and introduce yourself, they're not waiting for you. You have to make that happen. So I think all that taken into consideration with listening to everything that you all have brought up, I think August is a reasonable ask for a qualified applicant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone but Stan? Come on up.
Stan Schmidt, 5574 Trailside Drive. Just a quick point of clarification. Let's say that you have 2 or 3 people that, and the decision is made at the primary election date, the early election date. Someone gets 50% or more. Can you install them right away, or do you have to wait until the runoff, after the runoff date?
Next meeting.
Next meeting.
So I don't know who decides that.
As soon as we have a winner.
Once the people have spoken.
Once the people have spoken. And this is a paid position, and the interim position is a paid position. Not a lot of money, but it's there. It's something to be mentioned as well. What the pay is attached to it. Might affect some people's thinking. Believe me, nobody up here does this for the money. We ain't getting rich doing it, but it is a small factor. The other thing that I was going to suggest, council, is the legal ad for a June election. The first legal ad would have to go out on March 26th. If we have good candidates to choose from on the 21st, it might change our thinking. If we don't, sooner is better than later, and we might want to have that June election. But if we do have good candidates on the 21st, I would be fine with an August election for a lot of the reasons that Christine Cunningham mentioned. Certainly regularity in August, people would expect that. But do we have to necessarily decide that tonight, or we could wait and see what our applicant pool looks like and then make that decision next week, depending on what our applicant pool looks like, or I'm sorry, in 2 weeks, depending on what we do with that. Just another thought.
Would that eliminate the first option?
It would eliminate the first option.
The May option?
Yep, because the legal ad would be 2 days, due 2 days before we meet next. So we wouldn't be able to have a May election. I'm just saying if you want to try to make this decision with slightly better information based on our applicant pool for the interim, maybe we make that decision in 2 weeks, unless there's a compelling reason that staff can give us that we need to make that decision tonight. I don't think there is.
Lisa, is there any difference between May 9th, June 13th, and June 27th for you and your staff, or is it all about the same?
It's all about the same. And then you also look, if you do need a runoff, you're getting into in between the other 2 elections, which is very tight.
Okay.
For an August election, a September election, and then a November election of getting all the ballots out if we do get a lot of vote by mail requests.
And we do want a smooth election.
Isn't there some benefit though? I mean, if we do this early, you're the only game in town. Whereas, you know, if you tie this to like the fall elections and stuff, we know Lisa can say there's a lot of people that don't even vote down the ballot. You know, so a lot of that gets lost in the shuffle where if this is the only election and there's one race.
Well, it's
and
still
those
gonna be
that
the
are-
only election.
Sure. But those that are
Yeah.
interested in.
I mean, it's Ponce Inlet and Lake Helen. They
Right.
have one precinct each.
Oh, that's
And
true.
one is August
Yeah.
and one is November unless they have 3 or more candidates, and the other one will go August also.
Gotcha.
I mean, I feel like we can decide tonight. I mean, it doesn't sound like.
If we had to decide tonight, I'm
Yeah.
leaning towards August.
And that's fine, yeah.
I'm just putting that out on the table.
Yeah.
Because I think the election process has to be respected as well, and the person who has to administer.
What was the timeline last time? Seems like we did it.
That's good.
Well, it was earlier, the resignation was earlier, and
But it
we
seems
were
like
April and June.
From the start to the beginning, we did it really fast.
It was both previous times. It was quick.
It's quick, right?
And I mean,
Worked out good
that's what's
for
been
us.
done before.
Well, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve that we do the earliest option.
Which would be a May 9th election.
Yep, May 9th election with a runoff on July 25th.
Now, I do appreciate your comment that you're the only thing in town, you know, and
We'll be regardless of the date.
I'm trying to do some quick math on it.
I'm looking for a second. Do I have a second? Motion dies for a lack of a second. And like I said, you don't have to, we can motion to table this until the 21st. I'd rather have a course of action, but I
Let's
mean.
make a decision.
I also need something that's gonna pass here.
All
So
right.
I need some sort of motion.
I'm just, before we make a motion, I'm trying to do math on days and trying to remember what the last 2 times have been. Because if I recall, it was about 90 days in 2019, about 90 days in 2021. That's about what you're looking at here.
I believe we had roughly December and elections in June.
I think that was only because there was a runoff in 2019 that it went to June. 2019 had a
yeah.
runoff because there were 5 candidates.
Yeah,
and it
but
went to
that one was October, November.
The other one was, I believe, late December, early January, and then was April. Sorry, Robin.
That's okay. I was just trying to pull it up from our website, what we've done, what we did. The one question I didn't have the answer for. So 2019 special election date was June 11th. Was the runoff. Yeah, it was April 30th, and then June 11th was a
Almost into
runoff.
May, Yep.
Yeah.
So we had a runoff in 2019.
April 13th of 2021.
You had
April 13th, 2021. If you didn't hear that.
You still had roughly 5 months of a run-up to that. Looking for a motion.
All right. I will make a motion that we go with a August 22nd, 2023 election date and everything that follows with that.
I'll second that. We have a motion, a second, to declare the special election date as August 22nd of 2023 with a potential runoff date of November 7th of 2023 with a qualifying period of June 12th to June 16th of 2023 in which the first legal ad would be due on June 4th of 2023. We have a proper second along with that. Any council comments or questions? Would anyone here care to speak to the item, to the motion that's on the floor? There being none, back to us. Final comments? Call the roll.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. Golly, guys, you made that so hard.
There we
And boom,
go.
boom, boom, boom. You had a 4-0. Robin, is there any other information that,
Have it up on the website.
Okay.
If not tonight, first thing tomorrow.
okay, Mike Springer's gonna be a busy guy.
Comment about the website also. It will be on our website, and like you said about candidates, when they do qualify or they file to run, they do have the opportunity to put a bio and a picture where they file their financial reports. So all that is there on our website also, and we'll announce the date.
And we'll link it in.
It will advertise also.
And I highly encourage them to call you when they have difficulties filling their report out. Not that I'm
Yes.
speaking from experience, I'm just saying Lisa's pretty good at that.
Lisa, appreciate you.
Thank
We,
you very much.
We
And your-
love the
and your staff.
opportunity to keep you busy in an odd year once again.
I do. Can always count on y'all.
The regular agenda portion of the meeting is closed. Additional items, item 19, city attorney report.
I'd like to yield my time to the city manager for legislative update.
Well, that's pretty good, seeing as that's on the agenda for him to do. Excellent report, Mr. City Attorney. Item 20, city manager.
The assistant city manager is going to do this report for us.
The legislative priorities update.
This PowerPoint slide's 4 pages, doubled. But Robin Fenwick, Assistant City Manager, we have filed our legislative appropriation request projects with the state, and we will be going to Tallahassee next week to start meeting with staff and talking about these projects and getting any feedback and questions from them that we will answer and make sure that you guys are all prepped before we go as an elected body in March. So first, I want to start off with a thank you to staff, because I know nothing about drainage projects, stormwater. I'm learning a lot, but coming into this, I knew nothing. So Public Works and Utilities and Juno, thank you for the endless questions that I've had. I really appreciate the support. So the first one is and Juno Reed is our city engineer, is here to answer any of the technical questions that I can't answer if you guys have any. So the Sewer Force Main River Crossing Project, this is the city where the city provides sewer services to our neighboring communities of Ponce Inlet, Daytona Beach Shores, and unincorporated Wilbur by the Sea, through a single 20-inch pipeline that extends under the Halifax River. This ductile iron pipe was installed over 30 years ago with no secondary service line. This project will replace the current pipeline to provide more reliability and redundant service, ensure sufficient capacity for new customers, and reduce the environmental concerns from breaks. I just learned this little fact this evening that we pushed through, well, we don't push through, but 1 million gallons per day of raw sewage is pushed through this pipe a day. So that's a lot of stuff coming through.
It's a lot of
that
sewage.
we don't want to go into our Halifax River. So
Her voice softened when she said stuff.
So this project impacts about 11,000 residents within those communities. It's currently in design and permitting and surveying, with construction expected at the beginning of this fall. We've asked the state to fund $2.5 million of the $8.6 million project. You guys have any questions on that one? Sounds like a fun one.
It's definitely needed.
Yeah. So this next one is the stormwater system rehabilitation. City staff repairs or replaces approximately 1,000 linear feet of corrugated metal stormwater pipes throughout the city each year, at the current funding rate of $350,000 per year. This request for state funding was submitted in an attempt to accelerate that program by asking for an additional $350,000. Acceleration of this program is important as the aging corrugated metal pipes can fail in our coastal climate and cause voids in roadways and allow dirt into the stormwater system. We actually saw about 5 of those failures during Hurricane Ian. So replacing and lining these pipes will help reduce neighborhood flooding.
Gotcha.
All right, that's a picture of one of them. Any questions on that?
I believe that's the same project we got last year funded, correct? And we got 750,000 for it.
That was sewer
Sewer
line
line, okay.
piping, yeah, relining, yeah.
Similar.
Very similar.
Very
yes.
similar.
Yeah. So this one, we actually combined two projects to submit this one. So this is the North Commonwealth Boulevard and Ridgewood Avenue water main replacement. We've asked for $2 million of the $6 million for this project to replace aging infrastructure and add additional fire hydrants along North Commonwealth Boulevard and Ridgewood Avenue. These 2-inch galvanized pipes are to be replaced with 6-inch PVC pipes to improve drinking water quality and quantity, as well as provide additional fire hydrants to improve the fire flow. This is phase 2 of the project. Phase 1 was South Commonwealth, which replaced approximately 11,000 linear feet of piping, and it cost the city in excess of $2.1 million. These pipes are between 50 and 70 years old. Just for the record, that's older than me. And the system has become unreliable due to that age and corrosion of the galvanized pipes. This project impacts approximately 1,300 residents and 70 businesses. So again, we're looking for hopefully $2 million of the $6 million project.
Okay.
And that is it. If you guys have questions, like I said, we'll be going to talk to staff in Tallahassee next week and fill in any holes that they may see in those projects and hopefully get some funding.
Okay. Wayne, if you'd do me a favor, if A, could you go ahead and send that PowerPoint to us, and then B, when you and Robin return, if you could take notes of the staff that you met with in Tallahassee, because I'd like to be able to communicate with them, follow up via email, since I'm not able to go to Tallahassee with you this go around. I'd like to go ahead and send my thank you for meeting with you guys as well when you return. So if you could take good notes on who you met with, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Mr. City Manager, what else you got for us?
Nothing else.
Wayne, can you do me a favor and tell me where we are with the emergency Dunlawton Street repair out by the interstate?
Yesterday afternoon, we had a reclaimed water line leak, and it did some damage to the westbound lanes of Dunlawton in the vicinity of the overpass. So on the east side of the overpass, near where the ramp is going up northbound I-95. So pressurized water, it's reclaimed water, so it didn't affect our drinking water. It's not sewer, it was reclaimed water. Uplifted one of the lanes a little bit, and so they were out today. Right now the repairs are underway. Basically just cut out that one section and put back in pavement. We believe that the repair will be done tonight and the road will be back open tomorrow morning. So I haven't seen a confirmation on that, but the last that I had is that they were doing the last lift. The paving last lift was going in as of about the time this meeting started. They've got to let it cool a little bit, and they'll stripe it, the temporary stripe out there, and then the road should be able to be open tomorrow morning. So if we hear any differently, the PIO will put that out and let you know, but that's right now we believe it'll be open tomorrow morning.
Okay, appreciate that. City Council Committee reports, General Employees Pension Plan.
We had a meeting last month. We all kind of been seeing a little bit of a rocky roller coaster with investments for all the pension plans. The good news is that the General Employee Pension Fund is still doing very well. One of the most interesting things that came up in the meeting itself was that through an assessment, they looked at the last 10 years of the General Employee Fund and how well it's done managing its accounts. And it has some of the highest returns in the entire state of Florida. Consistently. It has just really done well. So the money managers that the General Employee Pension Fund have been using have steered us well. They're conservative, but yet they look out and try to find where we're going to get the best returns, and they've been really good at that, and they're very consistent. So what does that really mean? Well, what it means is when the market's doing great, we're seeing higher than average returns, but when the market's not doing so good, we're not taking as big hits in that fund, and that trend seems to be continuing. So,
Okay. Amazing the results a well-managed plan can execute. River to Sea TPO.
We met on the end of last month, and just got a couple of things for y'all. So one of the big things we had coming for us was the 2045 long-range plan. We amended it to advance certain projects. One of those projects was the I-95 Pioneer Interchange. The state moved some money around, and I believe it was to the tune of $75 million. That was not the only project, but to help move other projects forward, and that was one of them. That passed 16-3. There was a little bit of opposition to that, but it did pass, and so that's something to be aware of. Also, with the elections, we now have a new chairman. Mayor Cloudman, who was mentioned earlier, is now chairing the TPO. And I actually was appointed to serve by him on the executive committee for the TPO. So I'll be doing that. And one big thing that we're working on right now is tackling the location issue. Just so you guys are aware, this isn't super important to us, but where the TPO is currently, the person who owns the property is throwing all of the tenants out because of a clause that has to do with damage to the building during a storm that cannot be repaired within a certain time frame. And it's a loophole in the contract to evict all of the tenants. So they're throwing out the TPO, there's some other doctor offices, everyone's getting thrown out of that building. And so that's leaving the TPO with a situation where they have to move to a temporary place for about a year while they search out an actual office space for a more permanent location. So, but I'll be helping with that on the executive committee as well as other issues. So,
Reed, what is that vote on the Pioneer Trail? What does that do to the timeline?
it moves it up significantly. I'd have to really dig into it.
How
Years.
about months?
What? No, you mean it moved it up years? Yeah, to where it is now.
Only months away, I should
Right. Yeah. So it's a big deal. I can send over the TPO agenda for you if you want to read through some of it.
Yeah, my understanding is that what that means is construction starts at the end of this year. They should be underway doing construction towards right around November, December of this year.
Right. It previously it was 2035, I think, roughly. So it moved it up 15 plus years.
It was in a. Yeah.
Yeah, and I apologize, I'm sure this probably has been discussed, but what was the final design that they settled on? I know they were looking at 3 or 4 different designs, the figure 8, the smooth exit on and off. Which final design did they come up with? And if we don't know, you just send it to us later. I'm just
Unless Tim knows, I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
So all the property acquisition is obviously done.
My understanding, there was one last closing that was happening in February. I don't know if that's occurred yet or not, but that was.
And they're thinking starting construction before the end of this year.
That the funding would allow it. It was in an out year of construction, and the funding was to move it into the current funding cycle. So.
And what do you think? That's probably a 3-year project?
What are they?
Roughly?
Okay.
Okay.
What we'll do is put together estimated timeline completion and start date with the design and send it all to you.
Yeah, and it may be something too that now that, this is going to happen and the design is chosen and there's some dates that maybe we create a place on our website, so as we do get questions, we can direct people straight to that with so they can see what it's going to look like, what the layout will be, what the project timelines are, all that good kind of stuff. That'll be good.
That would be fantastic, and I think there are a lot of people looking forward to it because that's major traffic relief. But Scott, you experienced it yourself. What happens when the Moody Bridge floods, which has never ever happened before? People need to be able to get in, need to be able to get out, and we need to be able to get emergency services to people, and that gives us another access point for that. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Roundtable of elected officials met in the month of January. 3 topics of discussion I'm going to focus on. One is the Nova Canal, which it seems I've been roped into a major part of that committee. There will be at least 5 cities working on that problem, and that is not going to come with easy solutions, as we know the challenges of that when it local impact, something that's administered by the county, owned by the state, and has federal implications, but we'll be working on that. It appears that we'll be putting a transportation committee together also. I believe I've been roped into chairing that. And one of the easier ones, I was going to say, is the Bridges Task Force. What happens during hurricanes? We all pretty much shut down at the same time, but what happens when one city opens up before another or shuts down before another? There is some significant distance between New Smyrna and Ormond Beach, or even us and Ormond Beach. So when winds are too high here, they might not be too high in Ormond Beach yet. So, or vice versa, when things calm down on the other side of the storm, those bridges need to be re-inspected, and we want consistency in reopening, so that'll be a part of that discussion. The next roundtable meeting will occur in March.
One last quick thing.
Is there anything else?
Mhm. When you're,
What did I miss?
no, I'm saying that when you're done, I've got one last thing.
Okay, I'm done. so-
Oh, just
You
a quick plug. The city is again taking applicants to host the Port Orange University. So I wanted to put that out there for our PIO. I believe he's already got about 18 spots of the 30 that are filled. So if anybody is interested, I highly encourage anybody that has any interest in city government or city of Port Orange. It's a great way to not only to meet some new folks, but find out a lot of really great things about the city, and there's no cost. So it's a 9-week program, right, Mike? And I did have a question today. Somebody had asked me, which night of the week? Is it the same night of the week?
Yes, it's Monday night.
So it'd be Monday night, 9 weeks in a row type of thing. So anyway, go on our website, on our city Facebook page. There's information on it if anybody's interested.
A lot of fun. You get to meet some great people.
You do.
Anything else come before us this evening? If not, thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.